Let's examine what we can do in browse mode with the records menu. We've already covered some of the items, but let's review everything to make sure you understand how the records menu works. And the reason we've covered some of it is because, well, we had to create a new record, but often these choices are the ones that are available over here as well in the status toolbar. So new records available in the status toolbar, duplicate record could be available here, delete could be available here, and so on. So again, new record allows you to put a new record into your table. It's a blank record, you can start typing in information. So we've covered that, and I'd recommend learning the keyboard command on this because you'll be creating a lot of records likely. The next one though is duplicate record. When you duplicate a record, you duplicate everything about that record, even fields that aren't on the current layout. The idea behind this is, let's say you have a contact that got exactly the same address, exactly the same city and state, but has a different name and maybe a different phone number. Well, it can save you a ton of time as far as entering data. We could go duplicate record. We have a second copy of Daniel Bradbury. We can change it to Homer Simpson if we want. So now we have him at the same address. We could even change the phone number if we want. Maybe he's at extension 1305 or something like that. So just an easy way of duplicating records. Now, the other thing we have is the ability to make a new record and then insert from last. So if we go down to this field and say insert from last, we get Homer in there. Go down to the next field, Simpson. In fact, there's a keyboard command that can make it really efficient, command or control quote. So if we go down to this field and do a command quote, it brings in that information. In fact, we can throw in the shift key with that command quote or control quote, and it'll walk through all these fields. And we're going to make sure we're not in one that you can't modify. There we go, and we'll just hit that. You see how it walks through the field, so you can just do it quickly. And this is a little bit different than duplicate record because you can choose what things you want to duplicate. So I'd highly recommend learning how to do both ways, because certain times you might need to duplicate the whole record and it's easier, and sometimes you might need to just duplicate part of it. And rather than going back and deleting what you duplicated, just insert from last record. Now, what you may not understand here is that I haven't shown you everything about how insert from last visited record works. You need to understand what the last visited record is. The last visited record is, and we'll go to this one, the one that you were last clicked into. So if I go to Bob and click into it and then click out of it so it's not being clicked into, so it's not active, and then go to Homer and then make a new record from here, when we insert from last, we're going to get Bob. We're going to get Wilford, not Homer Simpson, because the last visited one was the one that you had your cursor in. So make sure you understand that so it's all clear to you. Let's go through this and change all these. So we have a complete record. And we'll use this later for duplicate records, so we can find duplicate records. So it's good that we have a couple of duplicates in here. So let's go back up to the records menu. And the next one is delete record. If you choose that, it says permanently delete this entire record. And let's cancel that real quick. If you look up here, you'll see that it has 3 dots after it. That means that when you choose it, you're going to get a dialog. Any menu item that has 3 dots after it means you get a dialog next. And you want to read these dialogs because they're usually very important. Permanently delete. It'll be gone forever. So make sure when you delete something that you really do want to delete it. So we'll of course cancel that because we want to keep it. The next one is delete found records. This one is really critical that you read the dialog. So let's choose it. Permanently delete all 43 records in the current found set. So that's the 43 records we currently have found, not the 46 that are in the entire database. Notice that delete all is not the default. Cancel is, because this is very dangerous. If you delete all of them, they're gone. You won't get them back. You hopefully have a backup if you accidentally do this, and this is one reason why you want to put security on your system. It's not just to keep people out of your system, but it's also to keep the people who are allowed in your system from doing things like deleting all records on accident. Because you can go ahead, along with security and custom menus, remove that menu item completely so they don't accidentally choose it. So we're of course going to hit cancel on this one, and we'll go down and look at what else we have here. We of course have go to record, next, and previous, but it's much easier to do those from here using the status toolbar. And then you have refresh window. This one's a little confusing until you get more familiar with FileMaker, but essentially it refreshes the screen. So any redraw issues will be refreshed. Now, I have never seen any redraw issues because FileMaker is very good about refreshing itself. But if you did have an issue, you could go ahead and choose this. It will also flush your cached join results. So what that means, if we get it down and make it in layman's terms, is that it will take all your relationships and make sure they're up to date. And that doesn't happen very often, but sometimes when you have a relationship several levels deep, this can help out. But I usually use it as a script step. You're running a script and putting all these records all over the place and coming back and going all over the place and automating a ton of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't refresh because that would be an efficiency issue, a performance issue with FileMaker. And so if you wanted to refresh at the end of that script, you would run that refresh script step. Now we're going to skip show all records, show omitted only, omit record, omit multiple, modify last find, and saved finds, as well as sort records and unsort, because we're going to cover them in the following sections. We're going to cover these things in your find section, and this one we cover sorts. But what we're going to do is we're going to in the next section, because we're dividing this into two, how to work with the records menu, because the replace field contents is very powerful. I want to cover that and spend a lot of time. We're splitting this in two. So replace field contents, relookup field contents, and revert record, we're going to cover those all in the next section.